The first call you want to make if you are feeling like something may be off is 911. That's going to be the quickest response. If you feel like it may be a situation that could be human trafficking, then you want to follow that call with a call to the human trafficking hotline. But always call 911 first, because local response is going to be the quickest response. I would say those that are vulnerable, based on if it could be a situation of survival, if they're vulnerable because of just isolation, or even those that have been bullied and targeted in that way, those are going to be your most vulnerable populations, I would say, here in the U.S. Oftentimes, victims of human trafficking are not even aware that they're victims. It's a really sad situation because oftentimes they believe that they chose these things. There's steps that are taken along the way where, again, it's either through force, fraud, or coercion that an individual is lured into this. But every time there's something that they've provided, the victim themselves has provided, that the trafficker can then point to and say, see, you chose this, or this was you. So oftentimes they don't even realize that they were being trafficked because they feel like it was their fault. Absolutely not. We are seeing quite a rise in victims of human trafficking that are U.S. citizens. And I would also say the biggest increase that we're seeing right now are of boys. We've historically felt like this was just a female problem, that it was just female victims, but that's not the case anymore here in the U.S. We're having a lot more reports of male victims as well. And no, I would say that historically we have felt like that would be a vulnerability that would lead someone into trafficking, and that is true. But the target now is on any victim that can be approached easily and that you can gain access to, whether that be through social media, whether that be someone who is vulnerable because of runaway, situations, that they've left an abusive home or a difficult situation. The population could be from the richest neighborhood to the poorest neighborhood. It's just an issue of vulnerability. Yes. I think that we've seen this strange, glamorized view of pimp culture. And the reality is someone is controlling another person in order to gain finances. And these individuals, these women, are being used as they're having to strip, they're having to prostitute, escort, all the varieties, adult film, and they are not keeping their money. It is going back to the pimp. And the pimp may say, well, I'm providing all these things for you so that you can have this lifestyle. But the truth is they're controlling the money. So obviously there's, the strip clubs are involved in this industry. You have the illicit massage industry is involved. Many times we see sex trafficking following large events such as sporting events, even NASCAR, things like that. There's a tendency to see a rise in sex trafficking when it comes to large events. So those are some of the industries that may not be directly related, but they are definitely feeding the demand. I hope that this was helpful for you. I think that sometimes the more that we feel like we're informed and we can pick up on the signs of something happening, the more likely we would be to give a report if we see suspicious activity. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is just begin to look for those signs. Just be aware. And if you see something where you feel like someone might be being harmed, go ahead and make a report.